Trey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestler Review. My name is John Robert McNeish Hastings. That's social insurance number 576-219-2221. Dylan, go ahead. Give your social security number as well.
Okay, cool. Mine is 42069. Fuck. Piss. I'm Dylan Gott. This is the Wrestler Review. I forgot to turn on the fucking lamp.
For those of you watching the video, Dylan just took a shit.
Oh, I'm doing this live from my toilet. I'm beating off, and then I'm gonna fucking take a dump afterwards.
Dylan's
poop go seconds.
Dylan is self-blumpkining because we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, Brock Lesnar for the third time, second episode
in a row. I forget we did. Our first episode about him was a bit over an hour, and then this one's going to be 2 hours total. We, of course, are picking up. He has just left WWE.
This is the best time in Brock Lesnar's life. He is addicted to Vicodin. He is covered in injuries.
Oh, yeah. He's injured. He basically gets out of his contract because, and I didn't know this before the research, but like basically he could not take time off. Like that was just not going to happen. So he got out of his contract wholeheartedly instead.
You realize what it was he was signed as such a young kid. Vince McMahon was sort of able to take advantage of him. Like, it was the first time Vince had ever signed a college prospect. Like, before that, Vince McMahon had always signed, like, a wrestler that had been in an indie wrestling for a while. So, like, they would know some of his scumbag tricks. Like, I guarantee in Brock Lesnar's contract, it was like, you're paid a lot, but every day you have to call me and ask me what you get to do.
Can I get some milk? No, you have to drink burgers. Ha ha.
Yeah, I don't know. You just have to sit there uncomfortably. Ha ha ha.
I got you a keyboard, but there's no ergonomic wrist support. Ha, and you'll have carpal tunnel. Ha ha ha.
I just gave you Bruce Pritchard now knows your phone number. He's going to call you with those impressions. Ha
ha ha. So he leaves WWE. I didn't know he tried to come back at one point.
I didn't know. So
Vince was like, suck my dick soft. Oh, it'll never get hard. I control my dick, not other people.
Basically, he's just super fucked up. And then he decides to join the Minnesota Vikings, gets into a motorcycle accident, breaks his groin, but doesn't stop because he just vodkas and Vicodins through the pain, where you're just like, listen, Brock Lesnar's a bit of a monster, but that's really good stuff that he's just like.
Well, considering he should have already died live on pay-per-view. But yes, he tries to come back to WWE. They offer him a rookie deal because I guess Vince is doing the whole. This is really the fallout of him buying WCW and being like, we're the only game in town. Fuck you. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Last player cut, which I'm sure they were like, he wasn't the best player there. He didn't know how to play football, really. It was just like he was super athletic, and the Minnesota Vikings at that time were pretty good. And if they weren't pretty good, I guarantee he would have made the team as like, come see this fucking guy play football. You know what I mean? Like,
this will
sell 10,000 tickets once. Then we can.
The owner and general manager wanted him on that bench.
Of course they did.
The coach was against it. The reason why he made it that far was the coach was screaming.
I just read a book on the USFL, and it's like Donald Trump just signed Doug Flutie, and then everyone was very mad. And at one point during the opening game, it was the only game Trump had come to, and the other team they kicked to start the game. It was like a squib, and then the guy ran it back a bunch. And Donald Trump said, did they do that on purpose? Did they let that guy get there on purpose? And then the GM said, what? Have you ever seen football? And then Donald Trump was like, it was a good kick, though. So, I mean, that's what owners will do.
That's possibly the best story I've ever heard of Donald Trump, where you just encapsulates him perfectly, which is like, hey, you bought this car. You know how to drive? Of course. You just step on the brake and then you go right through. And you're like, wait, no.
All right. So after that, of course, Bork Laser actually goes to New Japan.
Can we talk about you calling him Bork Laser?
Yes.
Because that is one of the wrestler review / people that watch Cole Cabana on Twitch is known as Bork Laser, which makes me think that that's
Really?
you, and you've been secretly watching
Bork
Cole
Laser.
Cabana and me do Twitch.
Bork Laser is from the M. Dickey game. I forget what it's called. But M. Dickey has a phone game where he had to come up with, he basically made every wrestler ever in this phone game. And he just came up with knockoff names for every single wrestler. And one of them was Bork Laser.
That's really good.
To get around copyrights.
And then
so it's like one thing has changed about everybody. Like he doesn't have the sword tattoo. I think he just has like a big like star or something. But it's like it is Brock Lesnar. It's just you change enough to get around the copyright so you can make your $7.
Let me ask you this, Dylan.
Asking me anything.
Do you think it was, speaking of people that don't care about contract and copyright rules, he signs with Antonio Inoki's New Japan. Oh my. And you know why he does that? Because he really wants to steal a belt and disappoint an entire country. And that's what he does when he heads to Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, Brock Lesnar is leaving America. What is left for him in America except for Rena Mara going, "Stop breaking into my goddamn house, you vodka-loving Vicodin addict." And he goes, "I will not. I'm off to Japan to speak Chinese to Japanese people." And then everyone goes, "Oh God, Brock Lesnar is going to say something crazy." And
yeah, pretty much.
Surprisingly doesn't.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where him and like I think this gives birth to how Brock does business now, because he basically realized through this New Japan run. For those of you that don't know it, obviously he comes in because New Japan brought in Goldberg as well. He does his unbeatable.
I had no idea.
Gimmick.
I had no idea they brought in Goldberg. This is the weirdest time in New Japan where you're like, this is the same company that gave us like Kenny Omega and all this. And it's like, yeah, they went through a really weird time before that where Antonio Inoki, I think, is still in power, but is like, pardon me, crazy from the heat, basically. Like, it's just like, get me Brock Lesnar.
Well,
make him eat a club sandwich in front of me. Like, it's, yeah.
He's trying to compete with MMA, and they do all these matches at the beginning where it's like, okay, well, if MMA is popular, I guess all our pro wrestlers have to have fought an MMA fight and prove themselves as real fighters. And then they do, and since it's pro wrestling, most of them lose or have bad records. And then you're like, these are the best. The best of the best are fighting at the Tokyo Dome, and you're like, yeah, these guys are all like 3-3.
Yeah, because these are this is when
taking guys down and holding them there, not even beating them up. You know,
because this is the times of pride. Yeah, like this is when.
Yes, it's huge right now, and they're also more so for Lesnar and Goldberg. What they're trying to do is build on the fumes of like Stan Hansen and Vader. They're trying to get their big, huge heels from America again, but they picked literally the two worst guys to bring in, who are like money first, money second, and you know what's third? You guessed it. Leave me in a room with money.
Yeah. You know how Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy were really popular because they were monstrous Americans who just disrespected Japanese people? Well, they were fucking faking it. So give me my fucking money, you piece of shit. Like, that's what it.
If you show me sushi, I'm going to leave the country. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. If I hear one person just giggle, I'm fucking out of here. No baths, only showers.
And then they end up bringing in guys who are not like Stan Hansen. Do you
think that Brock Lesnar just thought the country Japan was just the movie Mr. Baseball, which he watched on the flight over?
Yeah, it was he for sure watched Mr. Baseball, and he's like, oh, that's what it's like. Well, I'm not fucking eating none of that raw fish. And he came in and just screaming no raw fish at everybody.
Yeah, I ain't slurping my fucking noodles. I was raised right. I was raised fucking right. I was fucking raised right. And he keeps mispronouncing, and he doesn't understand that Antonio. He's like, where's that woman, Antonio? We need to find that hot woman. Mr. Inoki is that way. Mr. Inoki, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to his wife, Antonio.
So, Mr. Laser, nice.
I hate it. I hate it so fucking much. Shut up. Go ahead.
He wins the IWGP title. He ends up, of course, flipping that to Kurt Angle. and in the process, essentially, is stripped of the IWGP title. Pardon me, because he due to visa issues, quote unquote. But I've heard
Yeah.
other places it was basically like he's like, I don't want to go back there, and they already paid me. Fuck them.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Is Inoki was like, you know what? I'm going to try something crazy. I'm going to give this very erratic, stubborn man a lot of money up front. And everyone's like, I don't see how this could go wrong. Everyone knows about stubborn people. If you get their loyalty early, they're with you forever. And he was like, this is my thought as well. And then Brock is like, he betrayed him by taking all of the money. And Antonio Inoki was so upset. He blamed all of this on Giant Baba and then just ignored it for a year. And then Kurt Angle won the belt. I believe in America, is that when they did the match?
No, they did it in Japan. It's just that he was doing a gimmick where I think he had a AAA title too. So he came out on TNA with like all these belts.
You're telling me that they've already done the Kenny Omega angle and they've done it with Kurt Angle? There's officially nothing new in wrestling.
Of course,
They've already done the Kenny Omega angle. Did CM Punk also debut?
Yeah, Centimeters Punk also debuted.
Yeah. Inch and a half Punk. Oh, inch and a half Punk sounds awful.
And that's what AJ Lee calls him. You can use that.
No, that's rude.
All right. I'm sure he has a very penis. He has a very nice one.
No, I don't think he does. Okay. We here at the Wrestler Review, we do not back Mr. Phil Brooks.
We do not.
Dylan, are you kidnapped? Dylan just looked off the side like he's an ISIS hostage.
You never know what's going to happen.
Who's there? Dylan, who's there? Blink.
Someone entered the house.
Uh-oh.
All right. So then Bork Laser goes to... This is interesting. He starts his MMA career. And when he starts his MMA career, he basically first off fought some fat guy who just kind of knew judo. And everyone thought, maybe this will be a great fight. Maybe... And then Lesnar came in and he did steroids that they made illegal in the 50s.
Yeah.
He looked like a fucking monster in his first fight for Heroes. And my favorite thing is he formed the Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, which was just 3 collegiate wrestling coaches.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was just his wrestling coaches from college who were like, you take him down and then you're going to punch him.
This is the part that I can't believe.
You can't tug on his hug then. And
just be careful. He'll turn into a dragon if you're not careful. It'll burn your wrists.
Yeah, I'm sure his Minnesota wrestling coach wrote the words race science and just circled it a bunch of times. And he's like, this is our strategy.
Yeah. First, he wrote critical race theory on a blackboard and then crossed it out or circled it. I'm actually not sure what side I'm supposed to be on that particular issue.
Yeah. It just sounds bad when a guy from Minnesota's coming out. Okay, so they don't have much in the upstairs. Please stop talking. Okay, fine.
So the thing you got to remember is what they lack in the trousers, they make up for in brain power. I once saw a guy from Ho Chi Minh City levitate a chair. Idea of trying to find a yellow bowl. I was not on drugs.
So he beats this man and he makes enough. Well, it was
how many times do you think Brock Lesnar has been doing chin-ups and had bits of bear claw fall in his hair because of his coach just having a snack?
First things first, we start off with 4 steaks. That's how you start your day. 19 eggs. And then what we're going to do is you're going to shit that all out. We're going to sit here silently until you take a dupe.
Yep. And no water. No fucking water, Brock.
Don't you fucking drink any water, you big.
That'll fucking fuck. You'll fucking cramp, you big fuck.
So he beats Bin-Soo Kim so convincingly because understand, like, this is a pro wrestler. People are like, yeah, he's an NCAA champion, but who gives a shit? He's been wrestling for years. His body's undergone the torque of professional wrestling. And another thing that really helped Brock during this time in his career is that the UFC's steroid policy was basically, hey, we're going to test you in April. And then just
the
steroids in April.
Yeah, the steroid policy was like, you on steroids? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh, okay. Can you not be? And they're like, yep. All right, cool. Thanks.
It's crazy the people that have been caught doing steroids in the UFC, because it is some of the guys who are like, oh, that guy's pretty eloquent, gets caught on steroids. It's like literally all you have to do is not be on steroids for that one time before the fight.
Dana White is on steroids, guys.
Oh, he's on a lot of HGH.
Yeah. Like he looks like Shrek's thumb, and he's just wandering around just trying to figure out how to stop the steal. You know what I'm saying?
He's Shrek's evil brother.
Yeah, Rex.
There you go. We're fun, guys. But I don't think many people want to hear extensively about his UFC career. But I think the most important.
Disagree. I disagree.
Really?
His UFC career is fascinating because in the end, what is discovered is as popular as the UFC has become, the entire reason and catalyst for it still is that it needs stars. And Brock Lesnar was the first crossover big time mainstream UFC star in that people didn't necessarily recognize him from wrestling, but they knew him from somewhere. So they'd walk by and be like, oh, yeah, that fucking MMA thing. I've been meaning to get into that. Oh, yeah, that fucking guy from that thing. Or you saw him on a poster and you're like, wait a minute, what's that boulder with tattoos doing on the poster? And they're like, oh, he's going to fight a man. That's going to fight a man? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's true. It's the age-old thing of like, is pro wrestling real? And everyone knows it isn't, but you want to see a pro wrestler in a real fight. And if you're going to see a pro wrestler in a real fight, you want Brock Lesnar to be the pro wrestler, not CM Punk. Where it's like, CM Punk looks like pretty in-shape bassist for a punk band. Brock Lesnar, no mistaking, looks like a pro wrestler.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar looks like what someone would draw a pro wrestler to be. You know what I mean?
Jacked as hell, comes in, loses to Frank Mir, but almost wins, and then loses, which is like perfect. He then beats Heath Herring. After that, this is how the UFC knew exactly what they had. He's 1-1, so he's lost once and won once, and they give him a title shot, and he wins the title. I'm sure Dana White just started fucking Lesnar knocked out Randy Couture to win the title, started just like ripped all his clothes off like they were tearaways, even though it was a nice suit, and started beating off. Yelling money. Dana
White and the Fertittas in this moment, they just ordered so much cocaine, they just got given a Bentley. That's how much they celebrated in this moment where they just went, ladies and gentlemen, and then the next day, Dana White held a presentation at UFC Towers, and he was like, all right, we've got Brock Lesnar. Now I just need to find a lippy Irishman and a woman who has been abused so intensely by her family she will take it out on the women of this company for 2 years, and then at the end she'll be kicked in the head and crumple like a fucking tissue paper house.
Yeah, get me an Irishman and get me a sassy Olympian, god damn it.
Yeah. Can you also get me a silent Brazilian who has a very flippity floppity stomach, but is possibly the best MMA fighter of all time? Anderson Silva? Yeah, he looks like a guy who gets caught sleeping in the equipment room. Yeah. He's somehow very dynamic.
And also,
is he?
On so many steroids.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also steroids. Please.
Also, Anderson Silva. My favorite thing about Anderson Silva is there are so many different times where interviewers catch him just eating carbs at a press conference. Like everyone else is like training hard. And the amount of times Anderson Silva's just got pita chips in his hand. And they're just like, Anderson.
I think my favorite, there's a documentary Like Water, and he's like, I've never done steroids. I will never do steroids. And there's a bunch of parts in Like Water where, like, in the background, you just see needles on a table.
I mean, yeah, but do you ever see any porno in the gym?
Oh, you got to go to Hogan Knows Best episode 1 for our watch along for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, head over to the Patreon.
And Hulk Hogan full watching porn while they work out.
Hulk Hogan and Brian Knobs watch porn in their gym. Also, I just forgot we were recording this on Zoom, and for a second just freaked out that my Zoom wasn't recording, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But that wasn't a problem.
No. We will never, ever do that. So Brock Lesnar is the world champion, and he defends his belt against Shane Carwin. No, sorry. First, he defends his belt against Frank Mir in a return match at UFC 100. This is the high point for Brock Lesnar in the UFC. And it should be said this, pro wrestlers did not like Brock Lesnar, obviously, because he did the thing you're not supposed to do, which is, I'm fucking leaving, fuck you guys. On your way out, obviously, you're supposed to job a bunch of times. Brock Lesnar didn't do that. Everyone hated him. In this era, he gets to be popular with professional wrestlers again, because what he does is he legitimizes pro wrestling. Pro wrestling's known as being fake by this point, obviously. Everyone knows it's a show. You don't go into bars and pick a fight with a guy to see if those wrestlers can really go. But there's still this thing where, like, pro wrestlers need to be viewed as tough, and Brock Lesnar gives these guys that. And you can see in these first UFC fights how many pro wrestlers are there. Like Austin's there, Undertaker's there, The Rock's there.
I actually wanted to bring that up in a
he gives
more
them their
of
flowers.
More of the Yeah. In more, as he walks to the ring, each one of them just gives him a little note.
Thank you, Brocky.
Yeah. Hey, Brock, it's me, Steve Z. Steve Z.
That's my real name. It's Steve Z.
Yeah. Stone Cold is my father. You can call me Steve Z. What I think that really was misguided, weird macho bullshit. I don't know, the "are you gonna do it" thing is so weird. It's so uncomfortable and weird.
That was after the one of his last fights, though. So this is still Lesnar has not been. So he hasn't been diagnosed with diverticulitis.
I thought he got beaten by Carwin, and that's when he did it. I thought it was after the first title loss in his first retirement is when.
It was after he loses to Velasquez, which is when he's got diverticulitis, and then he's like, I'll take a couple months off and fight Velasquez. Which, by the way, it's like, I don't know, Cain Velasquez. And then that was the worst possible thing to happen for the UFC, because they go from like top tier, huge draw champion, super charismatic pro wrestler to quiet man who's always injured.
That's Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, quiet man who's always injured. Like they tried to push him as this big Mexican star, but then like he fought a guy when he lost the title one of the times. He fought a guy who was Brazilian who was way more fluent in Spanish than he was. So that guy actually ended up doing more media.
Fucking funny. I love how much worse, weirdly, the UFC is at marketing than the WWE. Like the WWE would have checked that. The UFC is just like, we need a Mexican star, and they're like, Cain Velasquez, you're a Mexican star. He's like, don't speak Spanish, and I've deported 8 people, and they're like, don't mention that. Don't mention that.
And he's just always injured. Like he wins the title and then holds it up because he's always injured. But the UFC has an advantage and disadvantage.
But then they would put Cain Velasquez against a guy named Ron Mexico, who is he's from the family that founded Mexico back in like the beginning primordial soup, and they're like, our Mexican star will beat Ron Mexico, and then they're very confused as to why that backfires. They're like, what?
But I think
what do you mean giving tickets to David Duke was a bad idea? The UFC, goddammit.
I think this is important because obviously he tries to come back after diverticulitis. Alistair Overeem, who's on somehow, he's one of the guys who, even though they tell you just don't do steroids here, actually gets caught with steroids. He murders Brock Lesnar in the only time I'll ever feel bad for Brock Lesnar, where it's just like, oh, he's got, wait a minute, you telling me he had a bunch of his colon removed and he's got stomach problems? I'll just kick him where he has nothing. And then he just kicks him in the stomach. Brock Lesnar, it just looks horrible, really. He basically impacts both of this man's livers. Like, it's fucking bad. His kidneys are gone, everything. If for some reason you don't like Brock Lesnar, totally watch the Alistair Overeem fight. It's just a man on steroids beating up another man on steroids.
Yeah, I never have actually seen it. And I learned something else from the research that blew my mind, which was Brock Lesnar was going to be one of the coaches for the Ultimate Fighter, which must say Brock must count your lucky stars that didn't end up happening. Because
they did the whole season, and then he was injured, so he couldn't fight Dos Santos. But he's lucky that he didn't fight Dos Santos because he would have been murdered.
Oh, I thought he didn't do this season because he had diverticulitis. I didn't realize. Did he come across well at all?
This was weird because they kind of had to do the Brock Lesnar so tough story. So he gets diverticulitis and then fights Shane Carwin. Shane Carwin almost knocks him out, and then he does this crazy big comeback win to beat Shane Carwin. And after that, it's kind of like they're trying to do Brock Lesnar the feel good story, which is hard because the man has a big sword tattooed on his chest.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't ever feel sorry for Brock Lesnar.
You can't. He's beaten up so many people so horribly.
I know. Here's what it is. If you have a chest tattoo, there goes my sympathy.
Yeah.
You could have made another choice. This part of who you are, that's just who you are.
That's pretty much it. So he goes back to the WWE. You know what? Let's take a break and then we'll talk about that afterwards.
No, is it because of my fart? Is that why
it
you
was
took a
because you're
break?
pooty?
Oh my God. I got to say this right now, guys. I've been having some back problems, and it means for some reason, it's like the way I sleep is extra straight. So I wake up, first thing I have to do, big man shit. Like we're talking a post coffee morning bazooka time, straight out of bed. Then the morning is just filled with farts. Then around noon, another big shit. I think my back is being affected by how many big shits I'm taking.
Does it tickle your A spot and you get a bone?
Always.
Full bone shitting.
I've adjusted all of my diet, so all of my it's a lot of deep fiber and expandable bonding materials. So it's just rice and kale, and so that just means all of my shits are smooth but long.
On that hot note, we'll be back after the break for more of hard shitting.
My shits are kind of like fucking Anderson Silva's UFC career, smooth and long.
Yeah. And then at the end, bad.
Yeah, and covered in steroids.
We'll be back after the break.
Oh, you're getting clapped up. Sorry, everybody. We were just talking about how Dylan likes to fight various wildlife he finds.
Yeah, buddy. Moose,
woods.
danger, Moose. Dylan's here. That's what I put up signs to say, hey, Moose, fucking watch out. I'm here.
Dylan, I once saw Dylan tell a chipmunk, get off my lawn. You ain't been blood into this fucking cell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do. I beat in. I go to chipmunks, and if they're on my property, I go, you have two options here. You can be beat in or you can be sexed in.
I choose sexed in.
I always choose sexed in. That's what I do at any new job. If I start a job, I'm like, hey, guys, just so you know, I don't want to be beat in. I want to be sexed in. And they say, what? And then I go, pound me out.
I've been asked to leave many jobs on the first day because I always try and find the biggest employee and try and take them down prison rule style. I have stabbed many tall women.
Yeah. What you do is you fight the CEO and be like, I'm the CEO now. I watch Oz.
Yeah. I always do what friend of the stream Kyle Legacy would do in any situation, which is just wear a basketball jersey and talk mad trash.
If you combine rural Australia with Liverpool, you get a man who is so crazy.
He is a dirtbag supernova. Like the idea, like he's someone that if I walked into a home he was paying rent in, I would expect just to see a wall missing. Where's that wall? Mate, I sold it.
I sold it for parts, mate. And that's not an exaggeration. Liverpool and Australian accent. Very talented we are. So, John, Brock Lesnar started professional wrestling again in 2012 after 8 years. It's been 9 years since this guy's been wrestling again. Comments? Thoughts?
It's great. His UFC career is this beautiful thing. He gets diverticulitis. He sort of comes back and gets his V's back, but sort of doesn't. Kind of leaves in this sort of like, well, that's how this was going to end anyway. UFC career. Heads back to the WWF. The WWE, very different from what he found. He left 8 years ago. Now it's mostly just John Cena and Triple H playing who can beat literally everyone on the card. What's that? We're going to pay a lot of money for Brock Lesnar to come in, and for the first year and a half, we're not going to use him properly. Not even fucking close.
Crazy stuff. Of course, what he does, he comes in, crazy pop. Because this is, I think, 2012 WrestleMania. The Raw after was one of the first ones where fans were really like, oh, I don't think you understand. We control this now.
Yeah, it's one of the 2011, 2012, and 2010, 11, and 12 are them like building. Oh, we might need to acknowledge it. The year after this one is when they really acknowledge it because the crowd is so fucking rowdy and crazy. And they know Brock is coming out. There was rumors he was going to appear at WrestleMania. I still say, and I don't know why they don't do this. I still say they should debut more guys on pay-per-views. It would help with
Yeah, that's a
network
good idea.
subscriptions. And Brock like that, we would have been a better storyline if he came in and took The Rock out, helped John, or took John Cena out, helped The Rock win, because then that protects John Cena, carries them forward. Instead, what they do is The Rock gets a clean victory, I believe, over John Cena. Is that how?
Oh yes, once in a lifetime.
No, was it once in a lifetime? Was this the once in a lifetime, or was this the second once in a lifetime?
This was the once in a lifetime because the entire storyline, which they then just didn't do for some reason, was that Cena was, after losing to The Rock, was so off his game that he was getting beaten by everybody,
But
which was a great idea. But he beats Lesnar immediately. Yeah,
he breaks. Oh, this is the other thing is Lesnar is beaten by Triple H and John Cena like
immediately,
soundly,
and also Triple H isn't like long hair Triple H. This is your first voyage into I work out, but age is happening, Triple H.
Yeah.
So mostly you see this guy as a guy who's like, well, actually, I think our Twitter strategy is going very well, and next week I will be facing and beating the unstoppable beast Brock Lesnar. Also, he needs to cheat to beat me. I'm Triple H. Look at the size of it. Look at the size of it.
Basically, Triple H goes from metal band to cover band.
Ooh, yeah, he does go from he goes from in the band to the guy who just
don't try and fucking elaborate my fucking metaphor, Dylan.
No.
Just acknowledge
okay, fine.
Better than yours.
I will never tag your jokes again.
Thank you very much. I like our new dynamic, by the way. Feels like our sexual tension is back.
But you're right, totally. It's a guy who's like fucking. He takes off the suit jacket and says, I know a little Dave Matthews.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. Yeah. He's the kind of guy that shows up at a party. Yeah.
Have you watched the Woodstock '99 documentary yet?
No. Where is it available?
It's on HBO Max, or in Canada, it's on Crave. And there is a part where Dave Matthews says titties, and I had to turn the documentary off just to think about how uncomfortable I was.
Fucking
just hearing
awesome
Dave Matthews like, "Fall into me. There's some fucking jugs around here. Boom, boom."
You do know, like that guy is like is a noted drunk. Like he is, like rather famously like. In like rock music, it's apparently like Billy Joel is #1 drunk guy. Like no one drinks more than Billy Joel.
Billy Joel crashed those cars.
Like Elton John describes doing a tour with Billy Joel, and he's like, I've never seen a man fall asleep at a piano so often and no one notice. And everyone's like, what? And he's like, we're in the middle of Piano Man, and right before the Piano Man, I have to like really hit the keys loud so Billy Joel wakes up and is like, huh? And the piano. And he's just like, oh man. Slash from Guns N' Roses has Billy Joel banned from his backstage because Billy Joel just shows up and drinks all of his booze.
That's good. I never liked Slash, so I'm good. I'm glad that he drinks all his fucking bullshit.
I also always found Guns N' Roses a little irritating. Like I'm always like, shut up, you nerds.
Yeah, you fucking dweeb ass bitches.
Yeah, you ain't fucking organic like Motley Crue.
Oh yeah. Motley Crue is just like, these guys have drug problems and they figured out how to make a career out of it, actually.
Yeah, and they also figured out that if you just write every song about fire and jumping over fire, that rules. Like every Motley Crue song just fire, jump over the fire. You're like, why wouldn't I jump over that fire? Great idea. So Brock Lesnar's back in the WWF. He basically is just losing every match. He's giving incredibly long promos. This is how bad Brock Lesnar is at promos. Vince McMahon went,
there was Paul Heyman. Yeah, they're two events back, and then Brock apparently walks backstage after doing a promo. He's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Just get Paul. And then they do get Paul, which is so funny that like any other character, they just fucking, okay, he sucks, I guess. He's shit. So fuck him. Brock Lesnar's the 4th member of 3MB now because he can't cut a promo. But like he has obviously all these positives, and they add Paul Heyman, and it's great. You could just do this for other guys. But anyway, that's classic wrestling podcasting. Classic.
Because what
they should have managers more classic.
Brock Lesnar was so much money. He was so much of an investment. They have to make it work.
It's like a professional sports team, really. It's like, oh, why are they playing that guy who makes $19 million a year, even though he sucks? Because he makes $19 million
$19 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lesnar, of course, this is my favorite. Within the first year, because this is the fun thing about the first year of Lesnar, he beats Triple H, and then Triple H at WrestleMania gets to beat him, and Lesnar wins the feud ender, but only because Paul Heyman interferes. So this big monster you've brought in is now 2-2.
Yeah.
He's lost to Cena. He's beaten Triple H twice. The loss he suffered to Triple H was at the first WrestleMania, so the only card anyone watches all year. And the return match, the final match, was he needed a fat guy's help.
Yeah.
So
also,
you've not built this man up too
how
well.
Close Brock has come to slipping into mediocrity. He attacks 3MB before he challenges Triple H to that final match.
Yeah, which is like, at least he gets to beat someone up, but it is 3MB.
Yeah, it's so crazy that you mentioned 3MB, and I was like, yeah, it's anyone else would be in 3MB, and then it's like, oh, there's 3MB right there. On the December 30th episode of Raw, Lesnar returns with Paul Heyman. They challenge Randy Orton and John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Then he has a brief feud with Mark Henry. Then they somehow set up for The Undertaker. It's very convoluted. It's basically,
well, he comes out and says,
beats the Mark Henry. He beats Big Show. Go ahead.
Well, he just basically comes out and says, I want to fight. I'll fight anybody. And then The Undertaker's music hits. He fights The Undertaker. The Undertaker also, in the prelude to this, they're doing the whole thing of like, can Lesnar beat The Undertaker? And like really making it look like everyone knew, because from the perspective of, oh, everyone knows The Undertaker is going to win at WrestleMania, it was like, yeah, they're really making Brock look weak. And then apparently the day of, Vince is like, oh, we're ending the streak. And honestly, you can second guess it, but I mean, I think this was a great idea. And especially
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go for it.
I knew we were going to talk about this. I never have liked how they ended the streak. I just don't think they needed to do it. I will say this. The fact they ended it with Brock and it basically rehabbed Brock's entire image in a day and gives us a fucking world ender, scary ass Brock Lesnar wrestler for 2 to 3 years, I thought was great. I loved that. I love that it was like, and now decisive victory. Let's fucking do this.
Yeah. When it happened, I don't know if you were watching, but when it happened, it was like, what the fuck happened? Because I thought it was like, oh, that's a mistake. And then people only reacted to it once the screen said, and won. You know?
Yeah.
And
it was one of the
people
most
went,
shocking things
what? Like people went, what?
Like,
when it was 3? Sorry, go for it.
It was one of the most shocking things, and it was a thing that made that event like it defined that event. Like you're like, oh, I like, yeah, like I would go, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'll watch more wrestling. Yeah. I want
of course.
more wrestling. Yeah.
But this is the kind of shit they need to do, and obviously this shit only exists so that you can switch this guy's heat onto somebody. And to their credit, he beats Undertaker at WrestleMania, which isn't like that good a match. And I think that they timed it really well, honestly, because Vince must have seen Undertaker.
That's what it is.
Vince,
Undertaker,
he must have seen him walking around and been like, this guy's fucked. This guy's fucked.
What are we doing? No. Yeah. I'm not. The decision was also, if we don't do it now, we're not getting a fucking L off this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I need that. It's also the thing of like, they needed to do this to save Brock Lesnar's image.
And you look at it from the perspective of the previous year, they had a great match with him and Triple H and Michaels as the referee. No, that wouldn't have been the previous year. What the previous year was CM Punk, right? But like, look at all the things you need. It used to be just Undertaker was enough. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels was such a great match. But then they switch it and they start adding more shit to it, obviously making the match better. But it's like, in hindsight, you're like, oh, of course, you needed CM Punk, who's like, for all you hate about him, one of the better wrestlers on the roster. And then you need Triple H and Shawn Michaels both working to make it a good match as well. which no stress, but like this man's getting old. He sees him walking around. I'm sure is like, fuck it, we need to pass it on to Lesnar. And Lesnar's the perfect guy. And they had a good scapegoat where basically it was like, why did he lose to Triple H? He still had diverticulitis. Fuck it now. And then Brock Lesnar has the return match against John Cena. And I watched that shit in an airport, and I couldn't believe what was happening. I got a text
the
that was like,
SummerSlam match?
yeah, it was like,
It
John Cena hasn't
was-
gotten a move in for 10 minutes, and he just beat him.
I remember I was watching it with the guy who invented the show Setlist, Troy Conrad. And he was like, and he's never seen wrestling before, but he loves MMA. He's one of those, only in America do you find someone that has never heard of pro wrestling, but loves mixed martial arts. You're just like, what the fuck, dude? Anyway, he walked in as we were, Brendan, Cole Cabana, and I were watching this SummerSlam, and Carl Hutchinson, and he goes, why is that man wearing shorts near Brock Lesnar? That's probably pretty stupid. Why is he dressed like that? He's not taking this seriously. Brock Lesnar is very good at fighting, and then Brock Lesnar beats the shit out of him. And he's like, yeah, that guy should have been prepared for that match. Why would you show up to a match with Brock Lesnar in Nikes?
One thing we forgot.
Goddamn right, Troy. You're goddamn right.
Of course. Sorry to interrupt. One thing we did forget was that Brock Lesnar got an actual sponsorship on his shorts. Like he kept all his UFC sponsors, which is amazing.
John's, baby.
Yeah.
Not that good a sandwich. I finally went.
Really?
Not great.
But there's a lot of fun. And like Lesnar, there's something really fun about the fact that Lesnar, obviously people grew to hate it, but fought so little and his matches were so rare that you could actually keep track of how many times he'd won and lost.
It was really, I don't care. At 2015, 2016, as the alt-right was rising, as was my esteem for Brock Lesnar. Wait, is that connected? Yes, very much so, because Brock Lesnar was clearly funding aspects of it.
He of course faces Roman Reigns. This is what gives birth to Suplex City, because he just keeps on suplexing him and yelling "Suplex City, bitch." And
he get that Suplex City. Isn't Suplex City from the John Cena match? Welcome to Suplex City, bitch. Or it was Roman Reigns or John Cena? I can't remember which one.
Let's say it was Cena. Someone let us know, because we seem like assholes now.
It was Cena, because it was leading to that WrestleMania match, because that WrestleMania match he was already wearing the Suplex City fucking t-shirts, and that also led to that WrestleMania match, which we, again, between that SummerSlam appearance and then WrestleMania 31, WrestleMania 31 is one of the best WrestleManias of the last 20, maybe 30 years. And it's because every ending except for the Sting Triple H match is surprising. And at least the Sting Triple H match has the NWO versus DX for no reason, which is really fun. And then that match ends in the best way ever, which is Brock Lesnar is totally protected, Roman Reigns is totally protected, and Seth Rollins comes away with the belt. It's one of the best fucking wow. It was like they remembered they were a fucking wrestling company.
That was the best. Like, and you give Seth Rollins that curb stomp, which is such a fucking good finisher, where it's like that thing can look stupid. It can end a match and be cool. It can not end it can just be a heels move, because it's basically like kind of like a, what would you say? It's like someone skipping. Like essentially it's someone half skipping, or it's super crazy amazing move, or like super crazy damaging, you can do it as. But anyway, yeah, they make it a triple threat, which I think is one of the more creative things they've done with the Money in the Bank. It's like, it's a triple threat now. And you get out of the Reigns versus Lesnar match, which is weird because they've tried that so many times. But now Roman Reigns is great, but it's like they just tried. It feels like Roman Reigns was like, just let me be this guy. I'm good at it. And then Vince was like, no, John Cena and Bull Buchanan, god damn it. And that was who he had to be.
It's even more ridiculous than that is Roman Reigns just went, let me just cosplay as Brock Lesnar and appear on the show every week. And Vince McMahon was like, well, we don't have Brock Lesnar, so fine. And now everyone's like, this is great. This is all we ever wanted from this guy.
Of course. Here's who he is. He's like, let me fuse, like, call himself the tribal chief, which is great. Saying acknowledge me is fucking amazing. And I don't know, man. I can't say enough about how good Roman Reigns is right now. And watching old Roman Reigns shit in preparation for this episode, how annoying he was back then.
Insane.
Like, why did you have this hottie with a body with a shirt on? Take his shirt off. Dylan Gott.
Yeah, that Dylan Gott, by the way, was just describing his wedding night. Hottie with the body.
Put it on my grave. Roman Reigns should have always had his shirt off. Dylan Gott.
Yeah. Rest in peace. That man should never be wearing a shirt. Dylan God.
Exactly.
2021.
Unless, of course, right, you're going to make Roman Reigns kind of the Deacon Batista to the big boss man when you figure out how to clone someone. You bring boss man back. Roman Reigns gets to
If
be
Ray
comfortably
Trailer-
number
if Ray
2.
Ray Trailer faked his death only to debut at WrestleMania 39 or whatever we're at this point.
Million. Yeah.
That's the greatest wrestling angle ever.
Re-debut.
We're just sat in the ring and just
The music hits.
Oh, County Jordan. It'd
have to be a combination of his Attitude Era theme song, which was the least thought out. How about we go da 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 da? Can we just do that? Can I just say that into the mic? No, we have to have some instruments. Fuck, fine.
Coming to the ring, he's an abomination of nature and God himself. He's decaying and also alive. It's Zombie Big Boss Man.
Think about how much of a divisive character a dude in fucking riot gear now would be. There'd be half the crowd who's like, no, he's good. And I'd be like, politically, I don't align with the character. But I do agree he's great. And then I go fucking alt-right, and then I make the money, buddy.
Oh my God! Oh, when Dylan decides that his child needs to go to private school, and we have to turn this into the alt-right review. God, I can't wait for those checks. Let me tell you why Brock wasn't supported in this time. Because of the libs.
Ooh. Oh, so, all right. So Hobson says it was the Roman Reigns match. It was Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble is when he yelled Suplex City, bitch. Because the first time he uses the German, because that was the thing. Taz used a bevy of suplexes. Brock Lesnar really just German suplex. Like his matches were just German suplexes, and then the guy slowly trying to get to his feet, and then more German suplexes, which obviously got lame. But the first time that it happened, it was amazing. And if you put guys like, I remember he had an amazing match against AJ Styles on a Night of Champions that was like, obviously you're fucking having, it's once again, you're having a match against AJ Styles, but like in certain instances where, and it's going to sound obvious because it is pro wrestling, the crowd is actively rooting for one of the participants. It does lead to a great match. And it's easy. I guess it's easy only on Lesnar because he is just pitching a man onto the top of his head. But
sick.
It is wrestling. Like it's slow moving and it's a YOLO time. He turns, of course, babyface because how are you going to hate on a guy who's like, oh, he doesn't cheat. He just murders people slowly. And he's also murdering John Cena and Roman Reigns, which, by the way, we're kind of used to watching John Cena lose, but this is the end of Super Cena definably. This is also,
this is Super Cena has the horseshoe pulled out of his ass.
Yeah, there you go. And beat him over the head with it.
Can you see me?
Can you see me now? Oh, we didn't talk about Bud Light, Coors Light. I'm going to have an ice cold Coors Light because Bud Light ain't paying me shit. And I might even lay on my wife.
It's the best.
I like that he says that she's always on top. Now she gets to fucking have old Brock on top. That's something I say.
I didn't know that he did that. I didn't realize he said she's always on top. No, she gets to have old Brock on
top. I mean, that's what it was implied. Like, I might even lay on my wife means she gets to be on the bottom for a change.
What I like it is that he clearly wants to say I might even fuck my wife, but he's like, you've already gone a bit too far with the whole going after the sponsors thing, Brocky. Let's keep it PG for the old sexual intercourse portion.
I do like that Dana White was probably like, hey, you could have gone farther. You could have said, I'm going to commit domestic abuse against my wife. That would have been fine, Brock. But don't ever say anything about the criminal code for domestic abuse. You could have kept saying it over and over again and said, I do this. And we would have defended you, but never disparage a sponsor.
That it's a Coors Light. I just like how he really specifies it. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light ain't paying me no money.
Good God. Brock Lesnar's great. Anyway, this is the Brock Lesnar beating everyone era. They have to turn him face. He has a return match against The Undertaker. The Undertaker wins, but like it's a schmoz.
Oh my God. Their SummerSlam return match is so shit.
We watched that with Brendan and Colt.
Yes, we did. We watched that. That was the pay-per-view that Brendan claimed we would sell out that room and each make £2,000.
Yeah. And then didn't he leave pretty quickly? Or no, Colt left.
No, I think
Colt was pissed because he just he showed up like in workout gear and basically
With
like,
so
see
mu-
Brendan, and then was like, I'm going to bed.
he just ate a bunch of Nando's and then just told us about ladies he'd had sex with. If you remember specifically, at a certain point, it got really boring, and we just started asking Colt about ladies. We were just like, "Hey, Colt, have you ever
What's
been
it
with
like
any
to
ladies?"
be with ladies? And he was like,
Yeah,
it's fun. And then he ate his stuff and was like, I don't want to answer any more of these questions. And we
Yeah,
were
why
like,
are you
please.
Both, why are you both shirtless and wet? And it's like, what? We're watching wrestling.
But yeah, Colt left because he take care of his body, and we at that time were like, well, we're up late enough, time to do some breakfast blow.
Yeah. Time to do some cigarettes. Oh God, so much cigarette smoking.
Oh yeah, my voice permanently fucked from that era, 100%. I feel the drag. Anyway,
my voice used to be this much. I used this. This
Hi.
was my speaking voice in 2010.
yeah. Do you ever watch old stand-up videos and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, how are you? Like, oh, those are some fresh lungs.
I mean, just listen to the first few years of this program, and you can really hear the wear and tear on the old voice. Like,
oh yeah, because we just re-aired the Bret Hart episode, so you probably heard two soft bitches fucking talking, not these guys here.
Yeah, two men that hadn't really figured out what no fap was all about. You know what I mean?
Two disgusting fappers.
Yeah. Two guys who were flirting with a little tenant known as Western chauvinism, but they hadn't committed their lives to it.
So on Western chauvinism, 2017, I want to skip ahead to this part because this really is, I forgot about this, but it is one of the, before people turned on Brock fully, for being the part-timer and all this, which Brock Lesnar gives a shit about, right? He had his matches with Goldberg, which I thought were fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah. I thought this was way later.
This is 2017, and here's the thing.
You are right. This was so fucking exciting. Because this was also when Bobby Roode was in NXT and everyone loved singing his song. It was like this weird time where it was like, guys, wrestling is back. We like singing one guy's song. Also, check this fucking guy.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's classic WWE booking around this time to like, oh, hey, we have this, like, Brock Lesnar, basically, we've transferred all of the aura from the streak onto Brock Lesnar, and not only is it the streak, we've done it 4 times a year, or 5 times a year now, this guy wrestles, and it has that aura of the streak of like even getting some moves in against Brock Lesnar is like going over 1 million guys. It actually means something to beat this guy. What do? Let's have him get run over by a 50-year-old guy.
Yeah. Let's get him. Yeah, but and also I'm gonna say this. The first time it happened, everyone was real pleased.
I think it was good, but it's like still like, couldn't this have been Braun Strowman? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, couldn't it be a young dude so you make someone new and not just like no stress? Because Goldberg still looks great, and he doesn't have gray, like he has a gray goatee, but like he shaves his head totally, so he doesn't look old.
Yeah. He only now looks old now that they brought him back a 5th time. It's crazy that they've been.
You got to get to your late. If you're a guy who bicks his head and you're jacked up, you legit have to get to your late 50s or early 60s where your skin actively starts sinking on your face before you look fucked.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It delays white guy aging by legit 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's why Dylan and I, we keep it high and tight.
That's why we're double Rogan.
Yeah. Welcome to the double Joe Rogan experience. We both don't know what's an alpha brain.
Why is everyone so obsessed with gender? Also, I'm not getting the vaccine, but here's what I am getting. This shit. I'm putting this powder on my dick hole or whatever.
Who wants to watch me put collagen in my ass?
There you go. I prefer university in. And on that note, so Goldberg, of course, beats Lesnar in a minute and murders him.
I don't know how to explain this to you, but this is why this was great. It was like a weird revenge for WrestleMania 20. We get to see these two big fucks just run into each other a bit. It's going to be fun. I don't know why. I was just like, you know what? I like this. This is fun.
Yeah, of course. People start getting pissed off at Lesnar. So they have that WrestleMania match, which is like the best match on the card, and it's like 3 minutes long, Lesnar and Goldberg. So it's all kind of worth it because, Lesnar gets to beat Goldberg. And it's exactly like how heavyweight wrestling matches like that could be booked, where it's like, they just give each other their finishers, and then one of them wins because his finisher's stronger, and then Lesnar continues on. And at that, I think that's when people kind of started getting pissed off with Lesnar and how they were booking him and making him
Yeah, I
super
would have to
strong.
agree.
Only
This is the
against
beginning
other
of them-
part timers would he lose?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
This was sort of the beginning of them being like, and fuck this guy. Like, yeah, this was the time where you're like, wait, what? He's still there? Yeah.
Yeah, so he wins the title. He holds the title for like over 500 days. People are starting to get pissed. The only person then the person that beats him is Roman Reigns, pre-tribal chief Roman Reigns. So no one even
So
likes
good.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. The best, my favorite type of Roman Reigns, winning every match, no character. He's wearing a bulletproof vest, but his gimmick is he's the big dog.
Yeah, it's just such a change from the big dog to the tribal chief. And when you look at this, when you look at Brock Lesnar, they've been trying to put Roman Reigns over him and try and have him get Roman Reigns over for 7 fucking years. And the irony, of course, is once Lesnar now, he's listed on the alumni section on the WWE website. I'm sure that he'll come back at some point. But the irony of like him leaving and then Roman Reigns basically during the silent era, if you want to call it that, the pandemic era, is now fully turned into a good
silent
character.
era. Yeah, that's kind of what it is, actually.
Yeah, because they're just like, you have to react to shit. Like it's obvious. It's like Vince's dream. It's like, oh, you took the fans out, so now just like what I want to happen happens.
Yeah, exactly. Finally, a TV show without all of those rude people interrupting with their opinions, and it's like,
but I mean, Lesnar's. I think
those
he's a
are
good.
your fans. I hate them.
I fucking hate them.
Too much blah 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 blah.
I mean, Brock Lesnar, you can say this about his second WWE run. He's the only guy that could get away with having a legit dick in the middle of his chest, and everyone's like, yeah, I guess he has that.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. He's got a fucking penis avatar on his chest, and he walks around, and I guarantee no one's been like, is that a penis on your chest, bro? He's like, no.
He seems kind of affable now. He also has a man bun now, which is now a guy's retired. He's fully bunned.
Nothing. Oh yeah, he is completed life. He has now moved into the final stage of dude chilling, which is I'm just getting really into cutting meat, bro. Wait, what? Like, yeah. You
and
heard,
like, yeah.
I got a salt brick. I'm doing a lot of barbecuing. I'm talking about meat like it's wine. I'm bothering everyone in my family.
Lives in Canada. Also, he fought in the UFC. Oh, that was something that happened. He took a late notice fight at UFC 200 against Mark Hunt.
Mark Hunt beat Mark Hunt. Everyone got very upset, and then turned out he was on rare.
Yeah, and it didn't matter because he's not a regular performer, so they didn't suspend him or anything. So Brock Lesnar.
They were like, "What are they going to do?" And everyone was kind of like, "Well, there's nothing we can't unless we can get the WWE to do something." And then I was like, WWE, are you going to do something? And it's like, what? Who, me? No. Yeah, no.
Which is pretty dope that
should,
like, sorry.
Can you do something? And they're like, no, I don't care. And they're like, oh.
Oh, no,
okay.
But that's the deal. He is on steroids. He's Brock Lesnar, so shut up.
Yeah. It's like, he's on steroids. And it's like, why are you saying that so loudly? Don't tell people. It's like, no, he's not supposed to be. And he's like, wait, he's not supposed to be? Yeah. I think he is. Yeah, he's supposed to be. And they're like, no, he's not. And he's like, yeah. No, they are. They are.
And that's a thing I think that everyone should do is if you know it's your last fight, if any UFC fighters listen there, if you know it's your last fight, juice so much. Go on every one of them.
You're finally we're getting down to a subject I can finally agree with you with. Yes. If you are a professional athlete and it's coming to an end, your career is coming to an end, it's time for you to do a level of steroids that some would deem unethical. I'm not one of those people.
Physically shake while you're on the field because your body cannot handle the steroids. Just like
I want you to quote unquote go for it.
Mm-hmm.
When people see you, I want them to think, man, what's wrong with that guy? Like, I don't want them to even be able to guess what's wrong with you. They're like, holy shit. Like they're saying things like, what's up with that guy? You know what I mean? That's what I want them to say.
Yeah, go full superstar Billy Graham. My bones are now baking powder.
Yeah. Just like and in a day, you know what I mean? Like most people, it takes a long time to get to a point where it's like that guy seems like he's very
Yeah,
healthy.
do it. Do a cycle of everything in one day and just see what happens to your body.
I want everyone who sees you to be like, I saw him yesterday, and they were like, yeah, man, he takes this
bro.
shit seriously.
He's 7 feet tall now. Some people hit a growth spurt in their late 30s.
Yeah. Every time he coughs, he comes.
It's all one muscle now.
Yeah.
John, what's your favorite thing about Mr. Lesnar? What's your favorite thing about Brock?
I loved that he broke the streak, and I love that period. I love 2014 was the best year for Brock Lesnar. It was an amazing time. I thought it was excellent.
I thought that I got to agree. The best thing is that he broke the streak because that gave like a good 4 years. I think people now, with how pissed off everyone got because the WWE started the WWE post CM Punk leaving in 2013 and Daniel Bryan getting that concussion.
You absolute prick.
No, it was 2013, wasn't it? Anyway, whatever. Lesnar was there when CM Punk left, and they needed another star. They needed another guy like The Undertaker because they had The Undertaker match on WrestleMania, and now you get to have like a match that's like the streak as many times as you're going to keep Brock Lesnar strong. And it was new to see people beat down John Cena as well. And we didn't even mention him beating the fucking shit out of Randy Orton, cutting his head up in a minute as well. Like giving guy like a...
We didn't even get into that. Can we talk about that briefly? That is the thing that the WWE was clearly trying to, they were trying to protect Brock and protect Randy. They decided to go for it the hard way, and one of the most uncomfortable fucking thing is
I thought it was good, but it's also
so
like
fucking uncomfortable. No, it's brutal.
But it's also like Brock Lesnar opens him up with an elbow, really bad cut. Apparently Jericho tried to fight Brock Lesnar backstage, which to me is like, once again, I give Jericho all the credit to be like, he beat up Goldberg and to just go in knowing you're going to get the shit kicked out of you, but are like, no, I should do this. It doesn't matter how many January 6s that guy does. Well, it does, for sure.
I got news for you. Chris Jericho is someone whose dad played in the NHL and then grew up in Canada. Like, only someone who's like,
I'll fucking go him. I'll fucking fill that bitch.
Do it. Well, you don't have to. It's like, no, you do.
Brock Lesnar then rips his head off and throws it into a crowd.
Yeah,
just
Brock
calmly.
Lesnar tried to beat
It was planned.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar tried to beat up Vince McMahon by throwing his own head at Vince McMahon.
Yeah, like a cartoon character.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the worst thing about Lesnar is that they didn't realize that he became everything everyone hated. It's bad when basically he becomes everything everyone hates, and like they hated Lesnar, who was the champion, and then they hated Roman Reigns, who was their second in command almost. So it's like they hated the top two wrestlers, and Cena had started doing movies who they also would hate if they saw him too much. So it's like you have your top three wrestlers, your top three stars in the show are people the crowd doesn't like, but not like doesn't like, oh, I hate that guy, I want to see him get beat up. I hate that, like I don't want to watch this guy. And now, I mean, you can't really tell much by TV ratings, I don't think, anymore, because TV ratings are plummeting. And but like mostly it's just kind of like you've just generated so much indifference. And Brock Lesnar later in his career, through no fault of his own, but just was a part of that. Because
that's a very actually interesting point. That is exactly what they've done, is they've generated a level of indifference when it comes to their product. But it's like, I don't even know what they're going to do. I just know I'm going to hate it. Oh, Dylan, that's such a fucking succinct observation.
I'm very good.
Holy shit, Dylan.
And then people started trying to watch NXT, and it's like, and that was the thing that happened too, is you'd bring up dudes from NXT and Lesnar would just fucking rip all their legs off in 9 seconds. And then you're supposed to like keep watching NXT and care about this guy as if you didn't just see him get the fucking shit kicked out of him by Lesnar super easy. So it's like, he became a tool to like, from what he started as was like a tool to be like, oh, you wanted to see all these guys get their fucking ass kicked and be moved down the card. Well, now Lesnar is moving John Cena down the card. Now Lesnar is moving Roman Reigns down the card, because that was like, people were pissed off about him ending the streak, and then they used him that way, and they're like, okay, we'll actually like this guy, and he turns face. And then he becomes a tool to keep guys like he beat Samoa Joe twice in a row. He beat Braun Strowman a bunch. Like,
And then immediately, by the way, everyone was like, "Bad, that's bad."
well, yeah, because you should be Braun Strowman beat this man. You should make Samoa Joe beat this man. Like, these are guys who are in every week and who the crowd likes, but it is what it is. Like, that's not wrestling. Like, as far as wrestling goes, he's amazing. It's amazing that he could get he had the pull to get Paul Heyman brought in immediately when he was like, I'm not good at promos. Let this guy do my promos. And of course, you get the catchphrase that is his name that Paul Heyman does is great.
Oh yeah, for those who don't know what the catchphrase is, it's "Hey everybody, I'm Paul."
I'm Paul here, and this is my friend Barry, I want to say. I don't know his name. Anyway, he's come to tussle you guys. What's the worst thing about Brock Lesnar? Oh, there's another best thing. He in the UFC fought as a Canadian, so little national pride there.
That? Why did he? Yeah, and then also during
Lives
his
in Canada.
diverticulitis time,
he tried to get treatment in Brandon, Manitoba. He is, of course, used to being treated as, oh, it's Brock Lesnar. We'll treat you immediately. But he fucking expected top flight medical treatment in Brandon, Manitoba, where it's like, no, Jerry the janitor gets in before you. And Brock was like, what? I'm an athlete. And they're like, no, you don't understand what socialized medicine is. It means this guy got here first. He's more important than you. And then Brock's mind exploded.
Yeah. Brock did not receive medical treatment. His diverticulitis worsened because he kept stabbing himself in the stomach.
He also demanded treatment for stuff that he may have in the future.
Yeah, he's like, can you fix my brain cancer? And they're like, you don't have brain cancer. And he's like, yet. And they're like, what?
I might. Don't tell me I might not. Also, can I have just a bunch of handful of pills? Here's $600. A handful of pills?
One of you kiss me on my wet mouth? My wet mouth?
And now, here's your payment. Mush, mush, mush. So that's the end of the Bork Laser episode. John, are you happy?
I'm so happy. I'm going to change this. I'm going to change my best thing about Brock Lesnar is the fact that he said, I'm going to lay on top of my wife. Worst thing about him, didn't give me one of those Coors Lights.
Ooh. John's keeping those carbs low. You got to do that.
Yeah. That's a Coors Light. A Coors Light.
Next week, we'll be back. We're going to redo fucking Dusty Rhodes. I don't know how many parts that's going to be. That's going to be a lot of parts.
Is that going to be? I'm out of focus for this last
Plus, we get to fucking talk about... Well, that's because you're having a stroke. We're going to get to talk about Dusty Rhodes with Dick Murdoch. And we're going to get to see Dusty Rhodes where he started out...
I forgot about early Dusty Rhodes. I thought we were going to have to talk about awkward late-time Dusty Rhodes when he's working in NXT and just really focusing on the Divas division. Oh, no, Dusty.
And we're going to talk about Dusty Rhodes from the aspect of the fact that he went from a Major League Baseball prospect to a professional wrestler. And in those 2 years, gained his entire body weight. Like, he was like 200 pounds, and then he was like 350 pounds.
No, he wasn't. Fuck, that guy loves a beignet, doesn't he? You beignet-loving fuck.
Before Google Maps, if you wanted to find food on the highway, literally Dusty Rhodes would just be like, there's a good hot dog stand under the overpass. And then people would be like, what the? Oh my God, he's right. He's that Simpsons episode where it's like, hot dogs here. How are you? Are you following my husband around? Lady, he's putting my kids through college. He's that guy. So everyone here, can you guys just listen for 1 second?
Fucking voice? Yeah. Fucking listen up.
Listen for 1 second. Listen for 1 second. First of all, put your lips up against your phone or whatever you're listening to this on. And then thank you for listening. John, can you keep kissing and I'll do the promos? Thank you. So just keep kissing and I'm whispering sweet nothings in your ear. Oh, that's good. A nice cartoon smooch. Wrestler Review, at Wrestler Review on Twitter and Instagram, patreon.com/Wrestler Review. We have our watch along with Hogan Knows Best up right now where Brian Knobs and Hulk Hogan watch porno in a gym.
We'll be watching 2 more episodes on Thursday. And already the first episode is Bearing Fruit. In that Brian Knobs and Hulk Hogan watch porn in the gym. They watch porn.
And it foreshadows his the eventual end of his public life immediately. in the
It
first
also has
episode too.
no plot whatsoever.
The plot is Brooks turned 16 and Hulk Hogan's decided
Well, we
that's
don't
when
know.
people
Brooke-
start to fuck.
Brooke may have turned 16 or may have turned 19. Either way, Hulk Hogan is tracking her and making
Yeah.
sure that no one,
It is
quote
a
unquote,
lot.
breaks the seal on his can of Jif.
The financial crisis has not hit yet. Mortgages are still going through the roof in the United States. It's 2005, and we're even giving Hulk Hogan money for a fucking TV show, baby. That's
Yeah.
what the fucking storyline is. So that's on Patreon. John's on Twitch every day, / John Hastings Comedy, the John Hastings Comedy.
By John Hastings Comedy, bitch. I'm going to switch it to the John Hastings, but that day's not here.
Ooh, at Dylan Gott on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We have a Facebook page, but I never update it. I'll fucking update it. Why not? I'll put some fucking porn on there. Why not? Let's see. See how far Facebook takes
What
to.
are you going to put on there?
I'm gonna try and find the exact porn that Brian Knobs and Hulk Hogan were watching. So it's still like
Those look like
good for the
brunette
show.
women, so I'm going to guess it's European in continent of origin.
oh
I'm
yeah,
like-
one of those ones where they're
you
just
know-
speaking a nice language where you don't know what's
You know-
happening. You just know people are getting along.
You know, in those Western movies, they go to the guy that can track. They say he can track a snake over a flat rock. That's like me
Mhm.
with figuring out what the porno is called.
John, you know that thing radio stations do where you just hear like 5 seconds of a riff and then you guess the song? John does that with all porns.
Yeah, I do that with porno tapes.
That's Reality Kings.
That's from Nurses with Lust, a 1990 production starring John Doe and Peter North. Oh, by the way, I always only name the male stars.
Yeah, John searches by the male stars because he likes to see the performer.
Pardon me, is that a Kieran Lee?
There you go. So we've been talking about porn off air for now. But thank you very much for listening, guys. Leave a 5-star review or something. We got a bunch where people are upset that we talk about porn so much. Bye bye. Bye bye.